Charles.
Say you're an independent business, like a photographer, or a marketing consultant, or designer, or one of thousands of professions that sell services to clients. You want less busy work, so you can do your best work.
In this video, I'm going to share 14 tips to help you get started with your Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen, or this should even work with your Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface as well. Now, tip number 1 is register your Focusrite Scarlett Solo or 2i2 on the Focusrite website, and this is why. You'll get access to all of the free software that comes with your audio interface, and the plugins that are included with the Hitmaker expansion that comes with your Focusrite audio interface gives you everything that you need to start creating your first or your next single. From the DAW that you can record in to drums and high-quality reverbs, mastering plugins, and more. It's all on there for free. You just need to register your audio device, and it only takes like a minute or two to do that. Now, tip number 2 is after you register your device, keep checking back into your account in the My Software area. And this is because you're automatically enrolled in what Focusrite calls the Plugin Collective. And this gives you a new free premium plugin every 1 to 2 or 3 months. They always keep things flowing on there, so check back often. You never know what you're going to find on there, and once they're gone, they're gone. You can't get those for free. And I've gotten some pretty nice plugins from the Plugin Collective, and once you register your audio device, you're in there for life. So even if you stop using your Focusrite audio interface, you can still go back to the Collective and grab whatever new free plugin they have on there. All right, we're at tip number 3, and I just want to say that tip number 3, 4, and 5 are kind of more specific to Windows users, but you still might want to check this out even if you aren't a Windows user. So tip number 3 comes after you register again. You want to download the Focusrite control software. And what this does for Windows users is installs the actual ASIO driver. The driver that installs by default when you first plug in your audio interface, that's not an ASIO driver, and it could cause latency issues. The ASIO driver is going to give you the lowest amount of latency, and that's if you're playing your guitar and you strum, you're going to hear it as you strum. The higher the latency, when you strum your guitar, you're going to hear it after you actually strum. So if you want to play in time or sing in time, then download that Focusrite control software and use the ASIO driver. And tip number 4 goes with that previous tip. Once you install that Focusrite control software and you get that ASIO driver, make sure you go into your DAW and switch the driver type to ASIO, and then you select your audio device from the list in there, and this is going to allow you to get the most out of your audio interface's capabilities. And now tip number 5 goes with the previous tip. Once you've switched your DAW over to the ASIO driver, you want to be able to be in control of that latency setting. So after you switch your DAW to ASIO, you'll see an ASIO control panel button. Click on that, and then you can adjust the latency settings in there. I always start out with the smallest number, which gives you the best latency or the lowest amount of latency, and then if that works, you can leave it. If you start to notice some audio dropouts or maybe some pops and clicks or just weirdness with your audio, you might want to go back in and then put it up one notch and see how that works for you. And continue to do that until you get the best latency setting for your hair. I always start out with the smallest number, which gives you the best latency or the lowest amount of latency, and then if that works, you can leave it. If you start to notice some audio dropouts or maybe some pops and clicks or just weirdness with your audio, you might want to go back in and then put it up one notch and see how that works for you. And continue to do that until you get the best latency setting for your computer. Personally, I haven't had an issue with the lowest number yet, and the latency on the Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen is actually quite impressive. But one thing to note, the further you get into a project, if you have a ton of plugins in there and a lot of tracks, you may need to go back into your ASIO control panel and just put it up another notch. Now, what I like to do is get all of my recording done first, so then that way the recording's done with the lowest possible latency. And then when I get to the mixing phase, if I have to turn up the latency, everything's already recorded, so it doesn't really matter that much. All right, tip number 6, if latency is still an issue for you, even after you lower it all the way, you still have an issue with latency, maybe your computer can't handle it, then use this direct monitor button right at the end here. And what this allows you to do is hear the audio exactly as it's going in. So you're not hearing it go to the computer and then back. You're hearing the audio as it's going into your audio interface. Tip number 7 is to make sure you disable the 48-volt phantom power before you connect your condenser microphones. And phantom power is not needed for dynamic mics or instruments or anything like that, only for your condenser mics, or maybe you have an inline microphone preamp, you can use the 48-volt phantom power for that, but make sure you turn it off before you connect it, and turn it off before you disconnect it, because you can damage your microphone or that preamp that you might have connected. You may get away with it once or twice if you do it by accident, but try to be diligent just in case. All right, tip number 8 is setting your ideal levels for recording your microphones or your instruments or line inputs, whatever you're recording. You want to set the ideal levels. And to do this, you want to use the halo LEDs that are around your gain knobs. And this will help to guide you. The volume slider in your recording software isn't going to help you get the ideal levels that are going in. It's only going to adjust the volume of the signal that's coming in. So if your signal's too low, it might still be muddy, but it's just going to be louder if you crank up the volume in your DAW. Or if you're clipping on your interface, it still will be clipping even if you turn down the slider in your DAW. So you want to control the ideal levels for whatever it is you're recording with the gain knobs on your audio interface, and use that halo light to guide you. So what I do if I'm playing guitar, I'll strum as loud as I'm going to be strumming while recording, and then I'll adjust the gain knob until the level is just starting to get into the orange on those halo lights. And then I'll just turn it back a notch. And then that way it mainly stays in the green, but maybe sometimes it hits the orange, but you never want it to get into the red, or you might start clipping. And if you're not really even getting into the green, that means your levels are too low, so start cranking them up until you get into the green, because too low of levels are going to make you sound muddy. All right, tip number 9 is if you're recording an instrument into your Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen, you want to make sure you put that into the instrument input mode, or else your guitar or bass or whatever you're recording in there might sound muddy because you're not getting the ideal levels. All right, tip number 11 is when you're recording your vocals, give the air mode a try. This is going to add some brightness to your vocals, but it might not suit your voice all the time or at all. So make sure when you try it, you're trying it out in a mix so you can hear what it sounds like in a mix, because on its own it may sound great, but once you get it into the mix it could be a little harsh or something like that. So recording your vocals, try the air mode, see if it works on your voice. If it doesn't, keep it off. And if it does work, keep it on there, because this is an excellent little added feature on your Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Tip number 12 for using your Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen is if you don't already have a DAW, or maybe you're kind of still searching for the right one for you, Give the included Ableton Live Lite a try. It's an excellent piece of software, and you can create many different genres of music with it.
If you don't know how to make chords, this is it. Congratulations. The chords are already made for you.
We can drag one of these chord progressions in. Yeah, we using this one. All right, let's get to it.
These are chords I never... I don't know enough chords. That's the problem.
So that is where a tool like Unisyn's MIDI pack comes into play.
Especially if you don't know anything about music theory, this is the perfect thing to help you out.
The Unison MIDI chord pack.
Unisyn's MIDI chord pack.
The Unison MIDI chord pack.
MIDI chord pack.
Using a MIDI chord pack can really help you overcome beat bloat because it just gives you a certain vibe of a melody.
It's very good for a bass starting line. It gives you something to work from.
You throw any chords over any beat and you just create something dope. That's what this is about.
And you open the pack, you can see it has almost every, not almost every, it has every scale that there exists in the world.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with how these MIDI packs work, it's pretty easy to use. Just choose the key that you want to be in, and then we can take that and just drag that straight to the piano roll.
It's literally just drag and drop.
Like, this is amazing. It's been a game changer for me in terms of just the way I actually finish tracks.
No matter what you do, it makes your workflow better.
Those chords help me make the track in a matter of minutes. I mean, I was just firing.
So if you like what you heard, go ahead and click that link in the description and go ahead and get it.
If you're interested in the MIDI pack by Unison, you can get 60% off by clicking the link.
I didn't say 30, I didn't say 40, not even 50, 60%. That's insane.
First off, if you haven't made money with AI yet, don't worry. AI is the biggest wealth building opportunity in U.S. history. I'm James Alventure, if you don't already know me. Nobody ever believes my predictions when I first make them until they come true. Like in 2007, I went on CNBC. Facebook was being valued at $1 billion then. And I said, no, it should be worth $100 billion. They laughed me out of the studio. But then when Facebook IPO'd a few years later and it was valued at $100 billion at the moment of IPO, CNBC had me back on and they actually apologized. They laughed at me again in 2013. I went on CNBC, I predicted the success of Bitcoin when it traded at just $114. Well, Bitcoin has gone up quite a bit since then. They're probably laughing at me right now because I'm making this prediction. But obviously, AI is going to have a huge effect on the economy. So it's not as bold a prediction, I guess, although the way I approach it is very different. And again, AI is probably going to add about $15.7 trillion to the U.S. economy. That's the real effect of this. And every one of those dollars is going to be, someone is going to benefit. Someone's going to have one of those extra $15 trillion. And this is not from what I call AI 1.0, where you invest in Microsoft or NVIDIA, the chip maker, or some of these companies that you've already read about a million times on the front page of the newspaper. This is what I call AI 2.0. And it's going to be the biggest wealth-building opportunity that I've ever seen in my life, and probably the biggest wealth-building opportunity over the past 150 years. This rare wealth window is about to open that will allow everyday people to get in on, again, this $15.7 trillion AI super boom. And look, there's all these gurus out there who are saying, oh, you can make $1 million with AI if you figure out what products to sell and make your own videos, blah, 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 make Instagram accounts go by. No, you're not going to make money that way. They're going to make money that way. Trust me, they didn't even know what AI was 2 years ago. But and books on other topics. But back in 1987 was when I wrote my first AI program. It was through a grant that was given to me by the National Science Foundation. And I wrote an academic paper about AI when I went to graduate school. And look, on my podcast, which has had over 40 million downloads, I've had a ton of AI experts over the years, had a lot of entrepreneurs, billionaires, but really a lot of AI people, because I grew up doing this stuff. And even as a hedge fund manager, I programmed my own, AI quant investing tool to help me pick stocks because I wanted to take the emotions out of it. And again, I know what I'm talking about. I know how all of this AI works. I want you to take this prediction seriously, or at least listen to it. Again, the next generation of AI will create the biggest wealth building opportunity in U.S. history, and it's here today, right now. More AI 2.0 is hitting the market every day. And just like when I was so excited about and predicted the success of Bitcoin, and earlier than that, Facebook, anyone who listens to me today and invests in the right kind of AI 2.0 could dramatically improve their financial situation. This AI world is developing incredibly fast. Right now, it's important to know what I'm talking about, what AI 2.0 is. So I want to give you my blueprint for investing in AI 2.0. And again, I've been writing about investing for 20 years. I wrote for the Financial Times, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, TheStreet.com. I love writing about this stuff, sharing ideas, and building community around these ideas. So I want to give you a blueprint for my 3 best strategies for getting in on this technology Super Bowl. I explain everything in a short presentation that I just released. It's free to watch. Just click the button below this video now. This wealth window will only be open for a brief moment, so don't wait. Click the button below now to watch my free video with all the details.
Ableton Live Lite does have an 8-track limitation, but I was able to create 2 songs in it very quickly, and the track limitation really wasn't an issue. And I'll link to the videos that I did where I show you how I made the 2 songs in Ableton Live Lite, just in case you want to check that out. Now, tip number 13 is something that kind of confuses newcomers to audio interfaces and that sort of thing. It's where do you plug in your speakers or your headphones? Now, you want to plug in your headphones to the audio interface itself, not into your laptop or your desktop, and you want to plug in your studio monitors or speakers into the rear of the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, not into your computer. Essentially, this takes over as your computer's audio interface, and there are ways to get around that. If you still want the audio to come out of your laptop speakers, you can use something like ASIO for All, which does allow you to route audio, so you can use this as an input and then your laptop speakers as an output, but there is some added latency to that, so I just recommend using your audio interface as the input and output device. All right, tip number 14, and I actually have a bonus tip after this, so there's more than 14 tips here, but tip number 14 is when you're recording, make sure you record to a mono track. Each of these inputs on your Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen are mono inputs. They're only, this takes over as
Let me check it out, Charles.